The WNBA is the league of the year because of all the talent that we have. Just keep singling out one player, it creates hard feelings.
Sheila Johnson, the billionaire owner of the Washington Mystics, has sparked a firestorm of controversy with her recent comments about Caitlin Clark. In what many are calling an outright attack on the young WNBA star, Johnson criticized Time magazine for naming Clark Athlete of the Year and featuring her alone on the cover.
But we just have to understand that when a transformational figure enters the fray, you got to pause and then isolate and compartmentalize and give them the love that they're due. And in this case, it belongs to Caitlin Clark.
She argued that Clark's recognition undermines the league's legacy, which she says has been built on the backs of black stars. But here's where it gets shocking. Johnson didn't stop at expressing disappointment. Her remarks seem to imply that Clark's success as a white player in a majority black league is part of a broader racial divide, and she even warned that this division of racism could tear the league apart. But let's be real, Caitlin Clark's achievements aren't about race. They're about undeniable talent and an unmatched ability to draw attention to the WNBA. She shattered records, transformed the Indiana Fever into a team worth watching, and brought more fans of all backgrounds through the turnstiles than ever before. Yet instead of celebrating the impact Clark has had on the league, Johnson's comments have fueled accusations of jealousy and resentment, especially when she suggested that the league's black stars deserve the spotlight more than Clark. Many are now questioning whether Johnson's remarks were racially motivated and whether she crossed the line in her criticism of Clark.
I'm going to be completely honest about this. I thought what Wizards owner Sheila Johnson said about Caitlin Clark came off as racist.
What's even more baffling is the irony behind Johnson's statements. Her very own Mystics moved Caitlin Clark's games to a larger arena to accommodate record-breaking crowds thanks to the excitement Clark brings to the court. Those games drew the biggest audiences of the WNBA season, directly benefiting Johnson's franchise. Yet Johnson has never publicly acknowledged Clark's contributions, let alone thanked her for the boost in revenue and visibility. Instead, she doubled down, claiming it's unfair to single out one player, especially one who doesn't represent the majority of the league's demographic. And let's not forget the veiled suggestion that Clark's popularity has contributed to the racism some black players experience online. While no one denies that social media can be a toxic place, blaming Caitlin Clark for the actions of a few anonymous trolls is beyond unfair. It's absurd. Clark has consistently shown respect for the league's black stars and has never said or done anything remotely racist. Yet Johnson's remarks have left many wondering if she believes the WNBA belongs exclusively to black players, and that a white player can never truly be the face of the league. This isn't just about basketball anymore. It's about the dangerous narrative Johnson is creating and the impact it could have on the league's future. Sheila Johnson's comments about Caitlin Clark sent shockwaves through the WNBA community, igniting debates that stretch far beyond the basketball court. As the owner of the Washington Mystics, Johnson carries significant influence and her words carry weight. But instead of celebrating Caitlin Clark's unprecedented impact on the league, Johnson seemed to diminish it. She openly criticized Time magazine's decision to name Clark Athlete of the Year, calling it a mistake to highlight one player, particularly Clark, as the face of the league. Johnson suggested that the entire WNBA should have been recognized as a collective force, with its numerous black stars featured on the cover instead. What really raised eyebrows, though, was Johnson's suggestion that Clark's recognition could deepen racial divisions within the league. She emphasized the WNBA's long history of black stars and hinted that Clark's rise to prominence might overshadow their contributions. Johnson even claimed that the league's newfound attention wasn't solely because of Clark, pointing to Angel Reese and other players as equally deserving of the spotlight. Her statement, "It's not just Caitlin Clark, it's Reese," seemed to underline her belief that the league's success is a shared effort. However, this comment has been interpreted by many as an attempt to minimize Clark's individual achievements and redirect attention elsewhere. Johnson didn't stop there. She went on to address the treatment of black players on social media, saying, "This division of racism is going to tear us apart." While her concern about online abuse is valid, her framing left many feeling like Clark was somehow being blamed for the backlash black players face. Johnson's remarks implied that elevating Clark, a white player, to such a prominent position could alienate black players and fans. But this perspective fails to acknowledge that Clark's rise has brought unprecedented attention to the WNBA as a whole. whole, benefiting every player in the league, regardless of race. The irony of Johnson's comments lies in the fact that Caitlin Clark has never claimed to overshadow the league's black stars. On the contrary, Clark has repeatedly shown respect for the legacy of black players in the WNBA. She has spoken about the league's history with admiration and has avoided any statements that could be perceived as divisive. Yet Johnson's remarks paint a picture of a league that is fractured along racial lines, with Clark's success as a potential source of tension. Instead of celebrating the positive impact Clark has had, Johnson's words have added fuel to the fire, creating unnecessary controversy at a time when the league should be united in its growth.
Caitlin Clark is box office. She is a star.
Watch her play. She plays at a high level, highly skilled. She's the best passer in America, and she's the best shooter in America.
Sheila Johnson's stance has left many questioning her true motivations. Was this an attempt to protect the legacy of black players in the WNBA, or was it rooted in resentment over Clark's rapid rise to stardom? Whatever the case, Johnson's comments have done little to promote unity and have instead cast a shadow over one of the league's brightest stars. Sheila Johnson's remarks didn't just stir controversy, they ignited a deeper conversation about race and division in sports. By framing Caitlin Clark's success as a potential flashpoint for racial tensions, Johnson seemed to suggest that Clark's accomplishments were emblematic of a larger problem. She argued that the media's focus on Clark could alienate black players and fans, painting a picture of an unbalanced narrative in the WNBA. However, this claim quickly unraveled under scrutiny, with many pointing out that Clark's rise hasn't sidelined anyone, it's elevated the entire league. The accusation of racism lurking beneath Johnson's comments became the central point of debate. While she never directly called Caitlin Clark racist, her insinuations left enough room for interpretation to stir the pot. Johnson's assertion that Clark's recognition could divide the league implied that Clark's success somehow came at the expense of others, particularly black players. This perspective conveniently ignored the fact that Clark's talent and hard work earned her the accolades she's received, and that her presence in the league has drawn new fans, media attention, and opportunities for all players. What makes Johnson's argument even more questionable is the timing. Clark's breakout performances have not only captivated basketball fans, but also sparked debates about the future of the WNBA. Instead of uniting behind this momentum, Johnson's comments seem to drive a wedge between players and fans. By framing Clark's success as part of a larger racial imbalance, Johnson risked creating a narrative that pits players against one another rather than celebrating their collective achievements. This divisive rhetoric doesn't just harm Clark's reputation, it undermines the progress the league has made in growing its audience and expanding its influence. Critics of Johnson's remarks have pointed out the double standard in her argument. When players like Angel Reese and Aja Wilson dominate the headlines, their success is celebrated without question. Yet when Caitlin Clark receives recognition, it's framed as a potential threat to unity. This inconsistency has fueled the perception that Johnson's comments were less about addressing real concerns and more about diminishing Clark's impact. It's worth noting that Clark has faced her own share of criticism and pressure, both on and off the court, but instead of acknowledging the challenges she's overcome, Johnson's remarks seem to single her out as a symbol of division rather than unity. At its core, Johnson's argument rests on a flawed premise that one player's success must come at the expense of others. This zero-sum mentality ignores the reality of professional sports, where standout performances elevate the entire league. Clark's rise isn't a threat to the WNBA's diversity, it's a testament to its strength. Her ability to captivate audiences and draw attention to the league has opened doors for all players, regardless of race. By framing her success as a problem, Johnson missed an opportunity to celebrate the growth and inclusivity of the WNBA. Instead, her comments have deepened divides and created unnecessary controversy in a league that should be united in its pursuit of excellence.
But as a white person, there is privilege. And it just makes me sad that she reacted the way that she did, because Caitlin Clark is so talented.
Sheila Johnson's remarks may have been intended to spark a dialogue about race and representation, but they've done little to address the real issues facing the WNBA. Instead of fostering unity, they've fueled a narrative of division, casting a shadow over the league's brightest star and detracting from the progress the WNBA has made in recent years. Sheila Johnson's remarks didn't just linger in the realm of critique. They took a sharp turn into controversy with the veiled accusation of racism. By suggesting that Caitlin Clark's Clark's media coverage and popularity were somehow tied to racial bias, Johnson crossed a line that many found unjustified and inflammatory. Her comments insinuated that Clark's success wasn't purely a result of her talent, but rather a reflection of systemic favoritism. This framing not only painted Clark in an unfair light, but also risked alienating fans and players who have celebrated her for her undeniable skill and work ethic. Critics quickly pointed out that Johnson's argument lacked substance and overlooked the broader picture. Caitlin Clark's journey to stardom wasn't handed to her. It was earned through years of relentless dedication and standout performances. From her college days to her current dominance on the court, Clark has proven herself against the best, regardless of race. Her success is a testament to her ability to deliver under pressure, not some manufactured narrative of privilege. By reducing her achievements to a racial debate, Johnson's remarks seem to ignore the hard work and sacrifices that have defined Clark's career. Moreover, Johnson's comments have inadvertently highlighted the very double standards she claims to critique. When black players like Angel Reese and Aja Wilson are celebrated, the narrative is about empowerment and progress. But when Caitlin Clark receives similar recognition, it's framed as a potential source of division. This inconsistency has fueled backlash against Johnson's remarks, with many accusing her of using race as a weapon to undermine Clark's success. The reality is that Clark's rise hasn't diminished anyone else's accomplishments. It has amplified the WNBA's visibility and brought new audiences to the sport. What makes Johnson's accusations even more troubling is the lack of evidence to support them. While she implied that Clark's popularity is rooted in racial bias, she offered no concrete examples to back her claims. Instead, her remarks seem to rely on insinuation and speculation, leaving fans and commentators to fill in the gaps. This approach not only undermines the credibility of her argument, but also casts doubt on her intentions. Was Johnson genuinely concerned about racial equity, or was she using the topic as a means to target Clark specifically?
The record seems pretty clear. They're excited to watch Caitlin because she's great.
And that's what we've seen in the NBA.
The fallout from Johnson's comments has also sparked a wave of support for Caitlin Clark. Fans, teammates, and even analysts have rallied behind her, defending her as a player who has consistently proven herself on the court. They argue that Clark's success is a win for the league as a whole, not a point of contention. By focusing on Clark's achievements rather than divisive narratives, these supporters have shifted the conversation back to what truly matters: the game itself. Clark's ability to rise above the noise and continue performing at an elite level has only strengthened her reputation as a player who transcends controversy. At the heart of this debate lies a broader question about how we frame success in sports. Should a player's achievements be celebrated for their merit, or should they be scrutinized through the lens of identity politics? Johnson's comments have reignited this discussion, but not in the way she may have intended. Instead of sparking a meaningful dialogue about race and representation, her remarks have exposed the pitfalls of using such issues as a tool for criticism. The WNBA has long been a platform for diversity and inclusion, and Clark's rise is a testament to that legacy, not a challenge to it. Caitlin Clark's defense against these accusations has been as graceful as her game. She has chosen to let her performance speak for itself, refusing to engage in the negativity surrounding Johnson's remarks. Her focus remains on the court, where she continues to inspire fans and teammates alike. This resilience has only endeared her further to those who see her as a symbol of perseverance and excellence. Clark's ability to stay above the fray and keep her eyes on the prize is a reminder of what true sportsmanship looks like, even in the face of unwarranted criticism.
Caitlin Clark, what she's doing doesn't minimize what they've done, but we should have been giving her the credit. We saw the ratings, we saw the merchandise sales, we saw the attendance, but y'all want to make it about something else. Oh, what about the women that laid the foundation? What about this? What about it? That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is box office. She's doing this.
Women should just shut up and dribble in the WNBA. The more they talk, the dumber they are. We get dumber when they speak. We get dumber when their media speak.
In the end, Johnson's accusations have done little to tarnish Caitlin Clark's reputation. If anything, they've highlighted the strength of her character and the support she commands from fans and peers alike. Clark's journey is a story of talent, hard work, and resilience, qualities that transcend race and resonate with anyone who loves the game. game. By trying to frame her success as a problem, Johnson has inadvertently reinforced why Clark is such a powerful force in the WNBA. The controversy has also sparked broader discussions about how race and representation are addressed in sports. Many argue that Sheila Johnson's comments risk overshadowing genuine concerns about equity by focusing on an individual who has consistently proven her merit. Instead of fostering unity or addressing systemic issues, the remarks have added fuel to a divisive fire. Critics have pointed out that such accusations, when baseless, can dilute the impact of real conversations about racism and bias in sports, making it harder to address valid concerns in the future. The timing of Johnson's remarks has raised eyebrows. Caitlin Clark's recent performances have been nothing short of spectacular, with her breaking records and drawing new audiences to women's basketball. By attacking her at a moment when she is helping elevate the league, Johnson risks alienating fans and undermining the progress the WNBA has worked so hard to achieve. Instead of uniting players and fans around the shared goal of growing the sport, her comments have created unnecessary tension, distracting from the game itself and the athletes who make it great. Caitlin Clark's ability to remain focused amid such noise is a testament to her professionalism and resilience. While others may try to politicize or diminish her success, Clark continues to shine, proving that talent and hard work are what truly define a player's legacy. Sheila Johnson's comments have undeniably stirred up a whirlwind of controversy.
The best player in the entire WNBA, not because she's white, because she's that good. She's having Larry Bird impact.
The WNBA tried to capitalize on her popularity and crammed a lot of games in over a short amount of time, playing against the best teams in the WNBA.
Her rise isn't just about individual accolades, it's about elevating the game for everyone, regardless of race or background. What's most striking is Clark's ability to handle the criticism with grace. She hasn't lashed out or fed into the drama. Instead, she's let her game do the talking. That kind of poise and focus is rare, especially in a league where the spotlight often comes with scrutiny. Clark's quiet confidence and relentless drive have allowed her to silence doubters and prove that she belongs at the top. Her achievements have brought new life to the WNBA, showing that the league's future can be built on talent and skill rather than division and controversy. Sheila Johnson's accusations may have attempted to undermine Clark's accomplishments, but they've only highlighted the very qualities that make Clark special. By remaining steadfast in her commitment to the game, Clark has shown that she's not just a player, but a role model for resilience and determination. The WNBA doesn't need divisive narratives. It needs players like Clark who inspire unity and growth through their performances. The real story isn't about accusations or divisive remarks. It's about how Caitlin Clark is changing the game. She's proving that basketball isn't about color. It's about passion, skill, and the love of the sport. Whether her critics acknowledge it or not, Clark's impact on the WNBA is undeniable, and her legacy is only just beginning.